Hello, I'm Coach Hairston. I'm the defensive coordinator at Lakeside School here in Seattle. Today we're going to learn about our star coverage, which is a man-zone hybrid coverage that we use to handle trips versus teams that run the ball a bunch. First off, let's talk alignment assignment here at Lakeside Football. We are a 4-2-5 defense, and no matter what the coverage is, our corner's alignment is always the same pre-snap, and it is going to be 5 yards deep, 1 yard outside the widest wide receiver. So we're 5 by 1 over here, and we'd be 5 by 1 over here. Our safeties are always 8 yards deep, flat-footed, waiting to adjust. And then our linebackers are in the box, so we always have a 4-2 box. In our star coverage, we adjust a little differently because we're playing trips and against teams that maybe tend to try to run the ball zone, QB run, things of that nature. We don't want to get outnumbered by moving linebackers and people outside of the box, so we try to keep our numbers strong in the box. The way that we do that is that we take our corner on the trip side of the formation and we man him up. So we put him in man press coverage, and we want to be in a nose-to-nose, toes-to-toes technique. The reason we call this coverage star is because we perceive our wide side corner as a star, and he's got to take this guy out of the equation. So with him manning him up and locking him down out of the equation, instead of it being 1, 2, 3, now we perceive this to be 1 and 2. And the way we want to handle our 1 and 2 is we're going to move both of our safeties in what we call we call it the box, because they're now in the box with these two receivers, and they're now going to both end up being responsible for them. The way that we do this is the technique we use is we use palms, and so it's a man technique, so we want to be at different levels. So we tend to have one safety at 8 yards, and one safety at 5. Now, depending on what either of these guys bring to the table, maybe one guy's faster, one guy's slower, things of that nature, we can adjust our depth with these guys. Our rules in palms, or our perception of palms, is that we're going to read the number 2 receiver, and if the number 2 receiver has any kind of vertical threat where he presses vertical, and we define a vertical threat by anything 5 yards or deeper, so anything that is linebacker depth, then the guy in front of him is going to cover him. So if this guy versus vertical 5 yards, then the rover safety is going to cover him man, and the hawk safety is going to cover number 1 man. And then if number 2 goes directly to the hawk safety and number 1 tries to do something or tricky or comes back in, bends it in, then they would switch. But for right now, we're assuming that we can play both these routes vertical, so if we get 2 vertical threats, we can cover that. If that guy goes vertical, then we have 3 verticals on 3 verticals. Our linebackers are in this coverage, we're thinking the possible run, so we want them to be ready to be in the fit run first mentality, but they're still just going to be hole droppers, so we're going to drop 12 yards deep and look for work. We'd be 12 yards deep and look for work. The reason we don't want to extend any of these guys to what we tend to call in, out, or on, which is you're either inside the hash, on the hash, or outside of the hash with your drop, is because over here we're going to do a thing called games. And the way we define our games is with a high-low call or with a low-high call. The call always goes outside in, and that's just the communication between the corner and the safety. So if it is a high-low call, then that means the corner is going to inform the safety that he has anything deep. He has the high ground, and the safety has the low ground, so he's going to spin here and help out on the hook curl or buzz to the flat to help play anything underneath with number 1, so we kind of get a 2-on-1 look here. If we get what's called low-high call, then that would indicate the corner is going to take the low ground and he's going to play the flat, and then the safety would have to play the high ground, and we get like a cover 2 look over there from those guys. And then this coverage allows us to play 2-on-1. We're good on even numbers over here, and then we're still winning with a 6-man box versus a 5-man front. This is our star coverage at Lakeside. Thank you for your time.